What's happening, Andy? Here I am joined today by Cameron from Eakes. How are you? What's happening?
I'm good, Andy. Just getting ready for Thanksgiving. Looking forward to a long weekend with the family and everybody.
Well, it is that time of year. It's family time. It's a little less travel for a very small stretch for a lot of us. So it's a great time of year. T Tell us a little bit about Eakes. I know you're really one of the older companies in the industry and Midwestern company. Tell us about Eakes.
Okay. Well, a long time ago, 1945, Howard Eakes started the company, and he started it by fixing typewriters in his kitchen table. And we still actually have that kitchen table over in our corporate office. It's really cool. Last year, we celebrated our 80th anniversary. And to date, we've grown to 14 locations all over Nebraska and one in Wyoming in Cheyenne. So we have about 315 employees, and we actually we have five divisions at Eakes. So we have managed print, managed IT, commercial furniture, office products, and janitorial.
Very
So that's
cool.
a little bit about our company.
Yeah, very cool. So what brands do you guys carry? What are your main A3 brands? What are some of the partners you guys have?
Sharp is our uh, main line that we carry, but we also carry Ricoh as well. We do a lot of A4 with Ricoh and production, and that's kind of the segment they are. We do some A3 of Ricoh for sure, but Sharp we do the majority of.
Yeah, both of them had really nice conferences this year. Did you go to either of them?
I did. I attended the Sharp one. It was a quick turnaround to go to the Ricoh one, so a couple other people from the company went down to the Ricoh event. I heard it was really good as well. But yeah, I was at the Sharp event this year, and it was really good. A lot of good information came from that.
Yeah, I like those shows. I mean they're fewer and farther between, but they're great networking, great opportunities to spend some time with your manufacturer, with your reps, with see the new technology that's coming. Rico had a great product fair. Theirs was in Nashville. I'm sure your guys had a great time there. Sharp just had a great setup down, and I think theirs was Orlando, if I remember correctly. It was Orlando.
Yep. Yep.
Man, these all blend together after a while. So, and so tell us a little bit. What do you do for Eeks, and how long have you been with them?
I started at Eakes in November of 2001, so I'm just starting my 24th year with Eakes. So my first job out of college, to be honest. That's the only place I've ever worked since I graduated. So what I've done, I started in the managed print, just like many people. I started with a territory, and I worked in that for many years. And then throughout, the last 24 years, I've had various roles, and currently I'm the director of sales for Eakes.
Okay, so director of sales, and you are also the president of the American Co-op, and we wanted to spend some time talking about that and discussing, just the idea of peer groups in general, and why Eeks is a member, and why you felt, incumbent upon yourself to take the reins and take that leadership role for a little while. Tell us about the co-op and what you guys do. Who are the members? How many members are there, et cetera.
Okay. Well, we were looking for a group that we could get together and share great ideas, some peer-to-peer sharing that where we didn't compete with each other, and you could just basically spill your beans, so to speak, and everybody could. And then we could go to different locations throughout the US where we could see their facilities, see their operations. We could learn from it, and if we could, take some things back to our dealership to apply. And that's kind of, the basis of it is that, we have around 22 to 23 members. They're all across the US. We focus on independent dealers, of a certain size or so, and where we don't compete head to head with each other. And so that kind of opens up the kimono to see how things are done at each location. We have two meetings per year, and typically it's at a dealership, one of the dealers, member dealerships, and again, we just tour their facility, learn about the best practices. We invite different guests to speak, so including, like industry experts like yourself, manufacturers, software companies, soft, service related software applications that can help drive our business. What we try to invite people that if when they present, there's something we can take back to our dealership and apply. And it's been really helpful for us. Many things we've implemented over the last few years have came by listening to successes of other dealerships.
Well, you know what? One of the things I do like about it is how you mix it up one show each, or not show, but one meeting each year at a, let's call it a luxury or fun event, and then the other one is business, and you go to visit a dealer. And I love the, opening up, as you said, the kimono, and how they take everybody, through their building, through their offices. You get a chance to see how somebody in your shoes has set things up, and it must have sparked ideas with you over time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been so many different programs we've learned from touring these different facilities and learning from other, companies like ours. It's been really great, and we do go to some place kind of fun on the second on one of the trips each year, but we also make sure that when we're at that place, we leave there with some great takeaways for our company. So we take it very seriously, even though we got a really great atmosphere that we're in. The content of our meetings, we still want everybody to take back something to use.
Well, the meetings I've been at, you usually have, premier speakers, very senior people. I've seen Marusic at these events. I've seen John Sheehan. I've seen Laura from Laura Blackmer from Konica Minolta. So you get the senior level people at these events, and they're sponsored. So you do go to some nice places. We've been to St. Lucia with you. We've been to Jackson Hole with you. I mean, being a member of the American Co-op has its perks. You get to, once a year go to a really nice facility, a really nice location, and either golf or do something local. And then, they do have the business meetings where you get the presentations from the Lauras, from the Marusics, from the Jenny Fishers and the very senior people at these companies. And uh, I know it's tough for these vendors because they're expensive trips, but there's a lot of value, I think, in sitting in front of a group of 20, 25 dealers for your half hour, for your hour, and then beyond that, spending 2 days with them, going to excursions and some of the other business meetings that you guys have, the dinners and whatnot. And it's being off-site, being out at a remote location like that. I think it really gives people an opportunity to just, instead of that 20, 30 minute chat, you've got several days to kind of get to know each other. And um, what are the events like for you? How do you what do you get out of the more fun events versus the dealer tours? The dealer tours are obvious to me what you take away. I mean, you get to see everything, but when you're in these other locations, what's the difference between that and the dealer meeting at the locations?
Well, you kind of nailed it already. You get to know each other on a more personal level, and you get to know more about their business more than when they're presenting their best practices. You can take it just a little bit further. Over dinner, you can talk about a specific challenge that you have at your location with maybe some a salesperson or something like that, and you can bounce ideas off each other, and it just becomes more of an informal setting where you just talk about all things business related, and they really become your friends, and you can rely on them. You can call them anytime throughout the 6 months that we're not together. There's an awful lot of phone calls to each other to talk through a situation, or if they're looking for a part or something like that. But it really helps form a good relationship that you can rely on other members to help with.
Now, how long have you personally been involved with the co-op? When did you join?
I think about 3.5 years ago is when I joined. Yeah.
So, so from sitting in the back of the room in 3.5 years to now you're the president. What looking forward? What are you looking? What are you looking to do when you're during your term? I would imagine recruiting is a big initiative for you guys.
It is, and I spent a pretty good amount of time down at the Sharp meeting talking to different dealers that we would like to recruit or that had interest in joining the American Co-op. And then I take that and I vet that against all the members to make sure that there's no cross lines, territories, and stuff. And I've identified some good dealers to invite to our April meeting coming up.
Where's
And
that going to
so,
be?
well, it's looking like it's probably going to be around the Charleston area.
Ooh.
I'm going to get that nailed down here actually later today. So looking at two different places down in the Charleston area right now. But my objective as a president of the company of the organization right now is to keep things going that others have done, in a sense that when the members come to the meeting, that the information we provide, they feel that there's something to take back to the dealership. That's you've heard me say that multiple times, and I just want to make sure that there's really good input from all the people who speak. There's an awful lot of people who want to speak at the meeting that we that may not be anything new for us. So I want to make sure that who we ask to speak is something new, maybe cutting edge, that can maybe give us a view into the future of how we should start positioning our companies to look and to start moving towards. And so that is my ultimate goal. Takeaways for your dealership.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things you've got to deal with, and your predecessors had as well, is just the acquisition factor. And every time there's an acquisition, there's a good chance you wind up losing somebody because one of your rules is you mentioned you need to be independent, right? So as soon as you get bought into a bigger organization, a lot of time that rules you out, and also it can blur those competitive lines that you guys guard strongly. And what are some of the territories that you're working on right now? What are some open areas that you're looking to recruit some dealers in? Any thoughts on?
We're currently looking down around Florida.
Yeah.
Look at dealership up around there. We don't have one in like Montana, up in that region up there. Um, and, we're talking to a few dealers, maybe down in or one dealer down in the New Mexico area and stuff like that. But we're, right around, well, we kind of filled a lot of the voids, I think. But around Montana and Florida for sure, we're looking for a couple dealers.
Well, cool. I will definitely include some contact, or if anyone needs to get in touch with you guys, I'll make sure that there's a way for them to do that. They can very easily get me. Anyone watching this, if you're in those areas and you're looking to, learn a little bit more about the co-op, I'd be happy to put you in touch. Um, going forward, you've got the one meeting coming up. You mentioned South Carolina. Where's the fall one going to be? Any thoughts yet, or not? Is that still up in the air?
Yeah, that's going to be in New Jersey, at Chris Wolowitz's
Oh, it's
dealership up there.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I might have to come down to that. I've been meaning to get to that. They just opened that within the last couple years, I think. Within the last year or two, is it's their new offices, and Danielle and Chris. I can't remember if they built that or just rebuilt it, but I know it was a long project, and they're very very proud of it. So they're going to have the meeting there. They in that when what month did you say that was going to be in?
It's typically around September. Uh,
Okay.
Usually it's the third week of September.
Well, very cool. That's an exciting meeting to have. Those guys are going to be very excited, and that's one of the things I love about your group and groups like you is that it gives the opportunity for dealers like you when they do something like this, when they build out a new facility. It's a chance to bring everyone in and show them, and you guys get to see what state of the art looks like, right? You get to see some ideas that you might not have considered, and these guys are all proud of what they built. They want to bring people and they want to show somebody, especially like their peers, who can appreciate, what they did and why they did it. So, yeah, that'll be a fun meeting. It's going to be here before you know it. I know it seems like it's a long time away, but when does your tenure end as president?
I'm 2 years as president.
And you're
So
just starting now, right?
yeah, I started in, I think they voted me in last April.
Okay.
So I'll have my first year in here coming up pretty soon.
Well, exciting, exciting. And then what when you go to these meetings, is it a lot of people from Eakes going? Is it just you? How do you guys manage that? What are the meetings like?
Yeah, from Eakes, it's myself and Paul McKinney.
Hmm.
He's our COO, so he usually attends. Our objective is to make sure that at least one of us is there because with all the different divisions and all the different industry meetings, sometimes they overlap. I've been fortunate to be able to attend every one, but Industry Week was during another one of them, and he wasn't able to attend. But that's who comes from Meeks. Typically, it's one or two people from each dealership. It's usually one of the dealer principals or like a director of sales from like myself. But for the most part, it's the dealer principals that are there.
Yeah, and the meetings are pretty, your pretty basic meeting. You get there, there's a reception, then the next day is either the tour and meetings at the dealership or at the hotel facility, that resort, wherever it might be. And then, a nice round up dinner the next night. And usually that's it. Is sometimes there's a third day. I can't remember if I've seen third days. I think on the bigger trips, those tend to be longer, don't they?
Yeah, on the bigger trips, sometimes there's a third day. It's maybe a half a day of best practices, and then maybe a half a day of doing something fun for the people who choose to want to stay back and golf, or some people head out and travel home, and some want to stay and golf, or whatever that may be that's around that area.
Yep, yep. Well, they're great meetings. I've been to many of your meetings. They're just a nice way for you to sit down with people who do exactly what you do and just learn a little bit about, maybe some different methods, some different ideas. Um, as we wrap this up, what you give a little pitch to anyone who might be watching this that maybe in Florida or Montana or maybe somewhere else down the road that you're looking for.
Yeah, I probably should have brought up the map so I could have named off a few other states that were missing. I didn't have that up on
We'll
my
do that in the
screen,
next one.
but yeah, we'll do that in the next one. But yeah, for anybody who's contemplating, wanting to join the American Co-op, they can reach out to me. I'd be happy to tell the story of what our objectives are and tell what we typically cover. I think it's a great group. We wouldn't put the effort into going to a group like this if it wasn't something that brought value back to our organization. And we've really seen a lot of value from that. And I think the members who've been in for a long time would tell you the same thing. And so it's worth taking a look at, and I'd be happy to tell you more about it.
Well, I'm really happy you came on and shared a little bit about the co-op. I can tell everyone watching this that the guys in the group of people that are in this, they're just awesome people. They get along. I didn't sense static in the room between people. It's just a good, fun group of guys who get along well, women too, and it's just. It's a invaluable couple of days when you go to these meetings. You always walk away with something. I walk away with something, and I'm not even a dealer. It's just, there's always just good information, good rumor sharing. First of all, who's buying who. Have you heard about this? You get a lot from these meetings, a lot more than just what's up on that stage in the presentations. I think you wind up getting more, from the conversations at dinner or cocktail hours sometimes than you do in those presentations because people open up and like you said before, you become friends, not just, business associates, and you have a lot to talk about and a lot in common with each other. And it's always a really great couple of days. Appreciate you coming on. This was great. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate you asking me to.
Good seeing you. Take care.
Take
Have a
care.
happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, you too.
Thank you.